Hi, it's Gwyn, and welcome back to the channel. And welcome also to three very old friends and very good friends of mine. Got Richard Porter, Phil Wood, and Rob Turner. Evening, gents. Evening, gents.
Evening, Gwyn.
Good evening, Gwyn.
Now, I thought we'd just do what we've done on previous occasions, and what we'd like to do anyway, which is chew over all things Beatles. So I'm going to throw some subjects up in the air, and we'll just see how it goes from there. One thing I've noticed recently is there seems to be a bit of chatter on various forums and on YouTube channels about the anthology. And the chance of the anthology being re-released in some format or another and coming out this year. Now, firstly, do we think that's going to happen? But I guess also, if it does happen, would we welcome it? Is it something that we really want? What do we think, guys?
I think it's going to happen. Where it's going to be this year, who knows? I had a chat with, I was told about a year or so ago by Jonathan Clyde from Apple.
Okay.
Peter Jackson was working on a major Beatles project.
Okay.
This is after Get Back, of course.
Yeah.
So what he's actually working on, I mean, I was told by someone else it was the anthology TV, wow. not the CDs basically, but
yeah.
So someone even told me they're not going to cut anything. They're going to do all the concerts on there, with full concerts and things, and it could be like 100 hours or something.
Wow!
I mean, I was told that a while ago by someone who's reasonably in the know, as it were. So who knows?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I guess that I mean. But is that something we'd really like to happen? I mean, if it's 100 hours of content, that's a huge amount, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess it depends how they would release that. I mean, would it go straight to streaming and be broken up into umpteen episodes?
Yeah. I was told Disney Plus.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty well in with the Disney crew, don't they? So that would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
Well, they got the material.
Yeah, certainly do.
I think something else to mention here is the fact that the albums, the anthology CDs, when they were released, they were all big sellers. I think they Billboard #1s for all of the 3 releases. So they sold a lot of units shift there. So I would have thought there's got to be a lot of thinking behind about how they strategy works for this, because you've got all the footage out there, the footage we haven't seen. I think Peter Jackson mentioned when he was putting together the video for Now and Then that Apple, sent him a load of footage from the sessions from Paul's studio in '95. So we know there's hours and hours of stuff out there.
I think
together really.
Yeah, I think didn't Apple stumble across quite a lot of material that they or anybody else didn't even know existed. So and in some of that being enhanced and released would be absolutely fantastic, actually.
Yeah, and of course there was a director's cut of the anthology which has been widely bootlegged, which is quite about twice as long as the release CDs. That was pretty cool, because again that was full clips rather than obviously on the TV shows and the DVDs. They cut quite a few of the songs.
They did, yeah.
But I mean the director's cut has the full songs and stuff.
But I think I guess it's challenges for Peter Jackson, but the actual formatting in terms of screen size wasn't great, and I think a lot of it was filmed on video at the time. Some of the interviews, weren't they filmed on video?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Well, I would think so.
So there might be some shifting around and some enhancing that will have to be done. But I guess if there's anybody who's going to be up for that challenge, it's going to be Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney,
Yes.
our friend Paul McCartney. Did you all see his performance on Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there was quite a lot of debate afterwards, even in some quarters, people calling for him to retire, which I think is bloody ridiculous. But what do we think of his performance, and what do we think of some of the comments that were sort of posted subsequently about the state of his voice, and should he manage his performances in different ways from now on?
Well, I mean, you saw him just before Christmas, didn't you, Gwyn? So you're probably the best place to comment on the how he performs in a full length concert.
Well, I saw him in December. I thought he was fantastic.
I agree. Yeah.
I thought he was wonderful, but I have to say there was a marked difference between what I saw at the O2 in December and what I saw on the small screen for the Saturday Night Live show. It was a very different performance in every respect. His voice wasn't great, I've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any arguing that it wasn't great, and it's not the first time when he's had a sort of a one or two song set that he's had that problem. He tends to like to work into a set.
Yeah.
I think the hint is in the title of the program, Saturday Night Live. Everything is done live. No jiggery pokeries, no, mixing the voices and stuff like that. It's completely live. That's how he sounded. So good on him for going out like that, doing it completely live. No, doing stuff with his voice or anything. That's Paul McCartnney. That's what he is now.
And I would also say that I think we're looking at a guy here that's 82, and we've been very lucky to have on hand clapping. Obviously, Get Back Jackson production as well, where we've seen Paul at his peak of his powers, and this is a guy whose voice, one of the great pop and rock voices, and a very pure voice as well. But what we're seeing now is a guy that's 82, and I actually find some of the I watched the Saturday Night Live performance, and there's a vulnerability there because the guy can't quite do what he used to be able to do, and I find that quite poignant, and I think it adds almost to the actual lyrical content, particularly of the songs, the Golden Slumbers, and again the medley there. It's very poignant suite of music, and I find it quite moving. And for me, carry on, Paul. I think
absolutely.
And his musicianship as well. I just say his musicianship for me, the guy can still, hold his own as a musician, and there's no discerning lack of quality in the terms of the way he performs on the various instruments that we're hearing him play. The voice, yes, it's obviously it's age, but there's a vulnerability there, and it's poignant, and I find it moving, and long may it continue.
Yeah, and the song choice was brave, to say the least, in terms of singing on it. I mean, it's not easy stuff to sing, is it? I mean,
no, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the reaction, I think it was complete overreaction from many people. I mean, it's a one-off performance. It's late. He's old. What are people expecting?
Yeah, and I think the difference between that and the live performance I witnessed, I mean, the band and all the technical crew behind him on tour, they've got everything absolutely nailed down, and there's a very careful management, I'm sure, over what comes across in a live environment, and it sounded great because of it. And I for one, am absolutely feel chuffed to bits that I got to see him again, because 20 years ago I would probably thought he wouldn't be playing. The fact that he is just fantastic, and for the younger generation to be able to experience it, it's very welcome. So
you were doing 3 hours, which is amazing. I mean,
yeah, he just doesn't stop. He's just a dynamo, isn't he?
Yeah,
When he's on stage, so fantastic.
he is, exactly. No, I went with my daughter Lilia, who's 17, and saw her she saw him for the first time when she was like 12. So I mean, it's great sharing it
Yeah,
with my kids, my daughter.
yeah, absolutely. That's special moments, aren't they?
Yeah.
Also good to see was Ringo's new album. Did we all partake in buying a bit of Ringo Starr Look Up album?
Certainly did.
Give you a charge, Your Honour. Via Spotify.
Buy Spotify. Well, that's fine.
That counts these days.
Yeah, it does.
But I've got to say, what in terms of the album, you always think, will you be playing this in 12 months' time? And there's 2 or 3 songs there that are real earworms,
Yeah.
particularly the duets, Molly Tuttle, I mean, amazing, the duets with her. Call Me thing, which is just in my ear, can you call me? That thing. But,
Yeah.
It's a really great, say, career move. You think you should have done it earlier. And I love the video you did, Gwyn, with Boca Blues as well, and looking back at, obviously, Ringo's second solo album.
Yeah.
Kind of think, well, someone on the line here would have been great if he had done something a bit earlier. But hey ho, we got this now. And I think his voice stands up really well, and it suits the material. And the songs are a strong set of songs, really strong set of songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't really argue with Elvis Costello's sleeve notes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that body of work as an album works really, really well, and I think it's probably Ringo's best vocals, like pretty much ever.
Yeah. I think
about he's 84, and look at him, look at his vocals. I mean, yeah, it's great.
I think it's just terrific that he did get some really good acclaim and some very good reviews generally.
Yeah,
I think that's good on him really, because he's not endured the best of press on when it comes to some of his releases. Some have been quite cruel for what in the past have been some actually pretty good albums, but it's been good that he's got some good recognition for his last release. I thought it was a really good album. Really enjoyed it.
Sales as well, considering. I mean, and a TV special to help it as well. I mean,
yeah. When do we get to see that? That's what I want to know. I mean, the couple of clips from it that I've seen, it looks really good. I hope so. Have you heard anything about that, Gwyn?
No, I've not heard any more. It's I will keep my ear to the ground like the rest of us. But if I hear anything, then obviously I'll post it up. But no, that would be a really good thing to see.
Oh, here we go.
I did mention
yes,
about this. Now, I'm a complete fraud. I have it, but I'm about just under halfway through it. So I can't give my full opinion, but I think Rob, you've definitely finished it, haven't you, Rob?
No, I haven't. I've literally just started it. I'm not even as far as that.
I'm ahead of you.
I'm just on 1974.
Oh right, Phil, have you finished it?
I have finished it. Yeah, actually, I mean, what do you guys do with your lives? Come on. I finished it over Christmas and New Year, so Christmas and New Year read. Interesting. I learned a lesson from the first volume, the 69 to 73 book that they did. This one actually, I think, is about 50 pages longer. It's about 750 versus 700. So I always think, ordinarily, any book that's over 500 pages, I don't trust it. But when it's a book about the Beatles, I think there's a scholarly theme to this. It's got to be good. And it is. It's brilliant, as is the first volume. However, what I found was that you have to take this in bite-sized chunks. Don't sit down and set aside 2 or 3 hours to go through this, because you'll find yourself, it'll be a struggle. But do it in half an hour, 45-minute chunks, and it's a good read. There's a lot of dry information, a lot of recording session minutiae that all of us nerds love. How many times did Paul how many bass tracks did he lay down on a particular song, blah, 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 blah. But I think the great thing about the book is, for me, the fact that you actually get a sense of Wings as a band, and particularly get to know the personalities of the supporting cast, and the Jeff Brittons and the Henry McCulloch. Well, obviously the Wings, that was in the first volume, but Jimmy McCulloch and Joe English, just the dynamics of the band and how they operated. And it's a really, really interesting read. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't know about, and it's maybe reevaluate some of those albums as well. And I'm listening to them in a different way now. And I ended up feeling really empathetic and sympathetic, actually, with the likes of the supporting cast. The Jimmy McCulloch and Jeff Britton, particularly, and Joe English. What an opportunity to play with Paul McCartney. At the same time, these are guys who are musicians, and they want to do their best, but it's an interesting environment, and it's a very, very. The research levels are on a Lewison-esque level.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to say it's very much, the Wings version of, Tune In, if you like.
Very much so, Richard. Yeah.
So it's very similar in terms of the format and stuff, and being in the present as well. Not looking back, looking at the reviews from that time, not looking looking back from now, as it were. Very much written in the sort of present tense.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of that book, and also Tune In, as you say. They're written giving context of the time, so referring to other releases and what's happening in the news, and I think just to give you a flavour for what would be going through their minds at that particular time. And I think that does elevate the read. Definitely.
It does put it into context, doesn't it?
It really does. It really
does.
And
also, from our generation as fans, we all got into the Beatles in the sort of late 70s. Also, particularly with Rob and myself, when we were starting to read the New Musical Express and the Melody Maker, we were, see the very cynical reviews of McCartney's stuff. And they do a brilliant job, Alan Cozen and Adrian Sinclair. They quote verbatim a lot of reviews, and you can just see the musical press getting more cynical as the 70s goes on.
I think that was the nature of the music press.
I think you're right.
It wasn't just the Babs that got slated. It was pretty much anybody who wasn't their current flavour of the month, whatever that might be.
When you see a review that starts with "Our Paulie's got a new single out," and full well when they're referring to McCartney as Paulie, it's not going to be a favourable review. But it's very interesting from that perspective to see how the music press changed throughout that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, wait till they get to the next book when they were doing the old Thumbs Aloft stuff from Smash Hits.
Yeah. I was reading the reviews of Back to the Egg, and of course that was around the time of punk was very much the thing, wasn't it? And London Town before that was very much the punk new wave era. And of course, NME on that one went exactly into Paul McCartney then, to say the least.
Not at all, yeah.
Not at all, no.
So, Phil, I'm a bit intrigued now. Now you mention it, you said a minute ago, and it's recorded here for prosperity. You said you've reevaluated your opinions on some of the McCartney albums.
Well, I'm going to have to go now, all right? I've got.
Come on, Phil.
I need to attend to.
Come on, Phil.
I have. And funny enough, actually, I bumped into Rob in Sainsbury's about a month ago, and Rob was shocked when I said to him that I actually like Speed of Sound now. Many years dismissing it. But it's just listening to the record, knowing the context behind how it's recorded, and particularly Speed of Sound, where I've always thought, why on earth, when I first bought the album, half the album's devoted to the band members and giving them a chance to shine. But now, having read the book and you empathise with them and you see the journey they're on, you see it, you hear it in a different light, and consequently, I'm that's an album that I'm quite partial to at the moment.
Good. But actually, it must have been really quite a challenge for some of those band members who, they're continually in the shadow of Paul, and they can't match him in terms of songwriting, as was proved on occasions where Paul says, "Come on, let's each write a song over the weekend." And I mean, who's got a chance?
Who's
I
going to
mean,
win that?
Well, especially if you come up with daytime, nighttime suffering.
Well,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Break.
But also, their own fulfillment, and not necessarily the material that was released was necessarily of their flavour. Henry McCulloch, I think, would definitely would have confirmed that.
I think it's interesting. Jimmy McCulloch, clearly very, very talented guitar player, and he had his demons, and that's highlighted in the book.
Yeah.
The demons that he had. But this is a guy that wanted to be a solo artist. So he wanted to be a big solo star, and it's very sad, really, in the sense that he couldn't fulfill that ambition. But that you see that a lot, don't you, throughout the music industry? And I think Nicky Hopkins. I mean, fantastic work Nicky Hopkins did on the Beatles solo records, and didn't quite have the X factor to become a solo artist. Release some albums,
his own right. Yeah.
X factor, and it's.
I was fascinated by the Jeff Britton bit.
Mm.
He was very much the karate and fitness guy, and there's him in Wings with Jimmy McCulloch and Denny Lane going into all their drink and drugs and all that, which is not really a good fit, really.
Yeah, I think that just emphasises the difference between those camps there. I don't think he had a chance, really.
I think I read it, isn't it? I think Jeff's going to be at the in Beatle Week this year.
Oh,
Is he?
I think I read that somewhere, yeah.
Okay. That'd be interesting.
I met him in the early 80s. He was in a group called The Keys.
Oh, right.
I saw supporting a group called The Expressos in Fulham Greyhound, and he was the Keys were the support group, and I thought, I know that guy, and it was Jeff, and they did some great songs, which is supporting a group at the Fulham Greyhound, which is a pub venue basically.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. But it was a great band, but they didn't last long, unfortunately.
So, as you mentioned, the Beatle Week and the convention, we got any thoughts on whether we're going to be attending this year, guys?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, I think last year's was excellent.
Yeah.
I've only missed about 5 since 1981, I think. So it's kind of the first thing in the diary every year. Oh, Beatle Week, yeah.
Yeah.
End of part 1. Intermission.